Hi there, thanks for tuning in again. I know it's been a little while since the last time I posted a video, and I apologize for that. It's been pretty hectic here with a lot of time on the road between the two families. Things are starting to settle down a little bit, so that's good. Much of it is not within our control, of course. Today is March 16th, Monday, March 16th, and unless you live under a rock, you know, things are changing drastically by the minute because of the coronavirus, COVID-19. That's going to have a huge impact on everybody, but I feel like even a bigger impact on families like ours. So I kind of wanted to talk about what that might look like. There's still obviously a lot of questions to be answered, a lot of unknowns out there, and like I said, things are changing every minute, but kind of wanted to talk about some thoughts that have been going through my head about what that might look like if we are under any more restrictions than we are today, which I anticipate coming pretty rapidly, and then what to expect from a behavior standpoint and how to keep maybe your own sanity as well. And I'm not sure I have answers to that either. I can just tell you that you won't be alone in the anxiety and the stress and the exhaustion and everything else. So anyway, stay tuned to this video and let me share some of my thoughts, and I'd be happy to hear some of yours as well in the comment section for this video as well. So stay tuned and we'll talk through the coronavirus and what this looks like moving forward. Thanks. All right, so coronavirus is really turning our world upside down. I'm sure yours just as much as mine, if not more. I'm very thankful, considering the situation, that I have a big support system, and I have, Dylan does as well. So in other words, yes, I have a son that's on the spectrum. He's on the severe end of the spectrum, level 3. We deal with significant behaviors, especially depending on medication. Right now we have them pretty well under control for the most part when things are structured and routine, and with the school environment that we have today, the teaching staff specifically. So things were really going better, a lot better. I won't say well yet, but they were going a whole lot better. And then the coronavirus cropped up, and now things are getting ready to change. And I imagine that there's going to be a lot of hard times moving forward. So what does that look like for us? Naturally, I'm sure just like many of you, it's hard to stay off the news and hard to stay off social media, but as frustrating and anxiety inducing as the news and social media can be, every once in a while I see a meme or two that really strikes home with me. So here's one of them. I'll share it up here on the screen. I thought I could relate to this because you see the parents that are like, oh yay, kids are at home for 2 weeks or indefinitely and we get so much family time, we can play board games and whatever we get to do. I can relate to this one a little bit more, and maybe you can as well. It's a little bit terrifying. Sure, I love family time. I love the opportunity to spend more time with my kids, but for kids like ours that are on the spectrum, the routine change is going to be drastic, and it's going to cause a lot of negative implications to it. I have seen some super parents post schedules for what you can do during the however long break we're getting ready to have, 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, 8 weeks, whatever that looks like. A schedule you can put your children on that will keep them in a routine, and it might look something like this that I'll share right here. And if you can read it, it's very structured from the time they wake up, they make their bed, they put their pajamas in the laundry basket, doing some chores, limiting the electronic time, doing some crafts, things like that, which sounds perfect. And I can tell you that something like that is likely not going to happen at my house, as much as I might try. But I have a feeling that if I try something like that, it's going to add more stress and anxiety to me than I can probably bear. So, and the other extreme, which might be closer to reality, might look something like this. Notice the large segments of iPad time, tablet time, watching storybots on TV time. That's probably more likely what we're going to see at our house. What are some ideas for trying to, as much as possible, within reason, limit the tablet time and provide some more structured activities where they're learning, where we're reinforcing some of the skills that they were learning in the classroom? So I have a couple ideas here, and these are just something that sometimes, depending on Dylan's mood, work for Dylan, and I'm just going to put them in a bucket and try to slowly introduce them as we need to. But here's some ideas that I have for Dylan, so let me just share them with you. So naturally, I got a big bag of crayons. Some of them are broken, and that's okay. That's why I keep them in a bag now. They don't last terribly long at our house, but I've got a big bag of crayons and a bunch of coloring sheets, and this one's been worked on by Dylan. But he really likes Baby Shark, so you notice we've got a bunch of Baby Shark coloring sheets. So I'll have those on hand, and depending on Dylan's mood, sometimes he likes to sit and color for a while, and just like any other typical person, that can be relatively therapeutic, but it's really depending on his mood if he's interested in doing that at the time. Obviously, if we can go outside, take a walk, but the weather's not going to be great here, at least the next 10 days where I'm at. So here's a little 7-day forecast. Could definitely be worse. I remember some spring breaks where we've had snow on the ground, and so I'm thankful, I guess, that we don't have snow on the ground. But it's going to be reasonably dreary, rain off and on, muddy. Looks like some of the temps might kind of work their way up a little bit to a comfortable level, but not ideal opportunity to be outside. So what are some other ideas? So I wanted to share this. I did this yesterday while Dylan was at his dad's, and I went to Dollar Tree and I spent $20. Actually, by the time I took, if I deduct the toothbrushes and toothpaste that I bought at the same time, I probably actually only spent about $16 on these two bags. So let me just kind of show you an idea of some of the things that I got for Dylan. And I won't throw these all out for him on day one. I will kind of slowly introduce some of these things and spread out some of the newness of it. So, because I think that this is going to be a prolonged time away from school. So, if you know Dylan at all, you know Dylan likes Tappy toys, we call them. And so these came from the Dollar Tree. So they're not going to be very durable, but they were $1. So this one will be perfect because he can tap and whack and it's not going to hurt anybody for as long as it lasts. This one has a nice long tail on it, so it's perfect for the same thing. And it also has a little rattle in it. So again, $1 each. That'll work. Something new that might get him interested and keep him entertained. So there's those. Another idea, I bought a couple of these. There's one right here from the dollar store, shaving cream. So he can play with these in the sink, in the shower, in the bathtub, and depending on his mood, he likes to sit and empty a whole can of shaving cream at one time in the shower, which in the end he's clean, so that's good. And these were just $1, so I picked up a couple of these, and I think that might help in a pinch. Alright, what else do I have here? Dylan also likes balloons, and similar to the tapping activity that Dylan enjoys, I got these punch balloons. You've seen them before, the balloons that you can blow up and they've got the string attached to them, so you can kind of pop them or you can bounce them using the string. Again, a couple of packs of these, just $1 each. So these tend to last a long time, or at least a day. So longer than a few hours, I guess that's good. So I'll probably just grab 1 or 2 of these at a time here and there just to kind of entertain him. Alternatively, I also got these other latex balloons. So if you can tell from the video, these are the long skinny ones that you can kind of make balloon animals and stuff out of. I had to also get the plastic pump. Each of these $1, of course, which isn't bad. Dylan likes to tap these sometimes once I blow them up, but he is more interested in popping them. So these don't last as long. He likes for me to blow them up, tie them off, and usually 5 or 6 at a time, and then he likes to stomp on them and pop them. So if I spent more than $1 on these, I would be upset about that, but again, this gives him a little activity to do. At the same time, we could play a counting game or a color sorting game with the different colors, and that would be something that would work for him as well, just to keep him engaged and give him an activity to do that's appropriate as well. So there's those. Let's see what I've got in the other bag. Sometimes Dylan likes to paint, and these also were $1 at Dollar Tree. So Spider-Man, he kind of likes that character. It's the little plastic kind of ornaments that you can hang in your window and reflect light. But there's a Spider-Man paint and display. I got him a My Little Pony. So Dylan likes My Little Pony as well. So I thought he might like this. Little tiny paint canisters, easy to clean up after, and once he's done painting them, I can just throw them away. $1 each. Couple more arts and craft type ideas. Here's one, another paint. This one I think is a dinosaur, and this one's on paper, so I thought he might enjoy that. Comes with 2, also for $1. So paint, poster paint. And then this is the little felt paper posters, or velvet, I guess is what they call it, velvet art poster set that comes with the little markers. So there's 2 posters in here. It's a dinosaur theme, but what Dylan seems for some reason really like is these little teeny tiny markers. I don't know if they're easier to handle. Something about these, he does like these. So I thought, well, this will work maybe to keep him entertained at some point. The hand-eye coordination, a little occupational therapy at the same time. Found these for $1. These are like the little party favorite paper things that you can flip them and they expand and contract. So this just might be something Dylan might enjoy messing with. Probably tear them up in 5 minutes, but we'll see. Also $1. And then the last couple of things, I got some $1 Play-Doh. This one comes with some little tiny canisters. Let's see how many are in it. It's an 8-pack, bright neon colors, and so I think he might enjoy this as well. Again, just $1 at the dollar store. They're very small. They're about this big around, if you can tell. So not much Play-Doh in there. Not too much to make a mess, and if you can tell from the video, I don't have too much carpet anyway, so that's good. But this is $1. And then lastly, he also likes bubbles, so I found this in the Easter section at Dollar Tree for $1. I can pull one of these out at a time, and he can blow bubbles, or have me blow bubbles for him, which is a lot of times what he likes me to do. He usually likes that for a little while, and then he likes to just pour the soap out. So I thought this was better as well, because there's 4 of them in here. I can bring them out one at a time, and if he does pour them out, we're not wasting a whole lot. It doesn't feel that frustrating. So also $1. Okay, so all of those potential activities, and that's just getting us started. So let's say we're out of school for 2 weeks. I may have to make another Dollar Tree run at some point in the near future, but those are some ideas of things you could maybe look for to help keep your child or loved one entertained while we're stuck in for the near future. Okay, so some of the other things that are still kind of unknown right now. One is, how long are we going to be affected by this, and to what extent? So in my area right now, we're not in a hot zone, although I can tell you, just like everywhere else, things are changing. It seems like every 5 minutes. They have already closed the public libraries. They've closed the zoo and the aquarium. They've outlawed or banned any event involving 50 or more people. Some of the grocery stores have already reduced their hours, really more for restocking than anything, to just daytime hours so that they can restock and clean and sanitize overnight. And I think this is nationwide, but at least Chick-fil-A has announced yesterday that they were going to close their dining area. And thankfully, at least their drive-thru will still be open. But their dining area for the next period of time will be closed to the public. So if you watched my videos in the past, you know red chicken nuggets. Chick-fil-A is one of Dylan's favorite things. But also, he really enjoys going and doing things, especially now that his behaviors are a little bit better under control. He seems to maybe tolerate it a little bit better. But his thing is to go inside. So sometimes going through the drive-thru is not satisfactory to him, and we'll start to see behaviors. The fish store, I think one of my last videos was on the fish store. We just did that again this weekend. Thankfully it's still open, but I don't imagine for too much longer. That very likely in the near future will not be an option for us for a period of time. So it's going to be very, very challenging at some point to communicate this to Dylan, who's very smart, but he will not understand, and I think that he'll think he's being punished. So we will start to see behaviors. Virtual school. That's one thing that's kind of the talk right now. Our local schools have not yet canceled school. We're just starting a full week of spring break this week. And they have not made any formal announcements for next week. So the expectation or assumption is that school will resume next Monday. There's rumor, and I wouldn't be surprised if they'll take at least 1 week off after this week, spring break. But there's talk that there's a chance that we will not return to school until the end of April, and possibly not at all, which is a big impact on Dylan. So let me just pause just a minute and mention, I know that my situation is not unique, but this is another area that causes a lot of anxiety for me. So I'm a full-time employee with my employer, and I've been blessed. I have very supportive company, and knowing that this situation is really unique, a lot of people will be working from home. You can see behind me here, I've got my setup at the dining room table. That's ready to go to work from home, but it will be sometimes challenging with Dylan at home, and I don't envy the people that have to do that and maybe don't have help. I also have a situation where Dylan and his siblings spend half of the week with their dad, so that allows not only their dad and stepmom, but also myself to at least have half of a week where we have more flexibility to get more work done, so that's good. But I also have the support of my parents, Dylan's grandma and grandpa, who live very close by, if you've watched any of my previous videos, and that helps a lot as well. But if we get to a point in time where there's a serious concern of having a virus and spreading it, I certainly don't want to potentially expose my parents or inadvertently my grandparents to a virus that could be deadly for them. So the unknown is really scary. Trying to figure this all out and what it's going to look like and how soon it will be over is very anxiety inducing. I'm typically not one to deal with a lot of anxiety, although I can tell you in the last few days I've started to understand what that feels like and sympathize with people that do. This is a very concerning time. What can we expect? So from a school standpoint, my school district is talking about that if they're going to cancel school, that they will not make up school days at the end of the the scheduled school year, but instead do virtual school, which might sound familiar to you from your area. But obviously we know for special ed kids, especially like mine, virtual school is not an option. I think in normal circumstances, what they would do is send, some of the resources to the home to make up for what would have been going on in the classroom. So Dylan takes speech therapy a couple times a month. He takes occupational therapy a couple of times a month. So in normal situations, they may send the classroom teacher to the home a couple of hours a week, and then maybe the therapist to the home a couple of hours a week. Obviously, now we're talking about a contagious virus, and that more than likely is not going to be an option that's going to be offered up to us. So what does that mean for Dylan and kids like him for virtual school? I don't know. I'm guessing that they're just going to miss out, or possibly they'll send some lesson plans to the home that we're expected to try to work on without much training and some of this, and I just don't see how that goes. What I know can be expected, regardless of the length of time that we're going to be home, and especially if things start to progress worse, where fast food restaurants close completely, where small grocery stores or places like Bass Pro Shop that Dylan can walk around close completely. And if the weather continues to not be great, where we can't spend a lot of time outside, then I know that there's things that we can expect, or I can expect from Dylan. One, obviously boredom. So again, I'm trying to be proactive and look for ideas for activities that can help relieve some of that boredom. Hopefully we keep the internet so that he can use his tablet. Well, that would be a nightmare. What else can we expect? Because of the change in routine and stability and structure, I have to know that we will expect to see some meltdowns. Unfortunately, that's frustrating because we have at this point got those pretty well under control. We have not had a full-blown meltdown in quite some time now. I have a little bit of wood here, knock on wood. However, I foresee that if this thing prolongs, I will expect some meltdowns. And then obviously regression. We've made some strides over the last few months from a behavioral standpoint, being able to stay in the classroom all day, being able to also go to his transitions job skills class at school and participate in that. Being able to take some outings in public every once in a while. That's been really good as well. And all of that's getting ready to change. And I have to predict some regression, especially probably coinciding with how long this is prolonged. So significant amount of time, significant regression, significant recovery time. All right, so that's kind of where I'm at in my head right now. Some of the ideas I have about what we can do, thoughts about what to expect, and lastly, just I mentioned to you that, like I said before, causing a lot of anxiety for me, and not something I'm familiar with necessarily. And I don't really know what to do about it yet. Again, I'm thankful I have a good support system. I have somebody, several people that I can call if I need a sanity check or a sanity break. And I'm very, very thankful for that. You may not have that, and if you don't, I wish there was something I could do to help you. Please maybe lean on local churches or autism support groups, because you have to know that we're not in this alone. If there's anything we can do for each other, to support each other, to give each other breaks from the home for a short time even, has got to help some. Running errands and picking up groceries or necessities when you can't. And you can't take your special needs person out with you, that would be another way to help. So whether you need the help yourself or you're able to help someone else, I'd encourage you to help or to seek help. All right, so I'll just kind of wrap it up here. I'm hoping this is temporary. I know we all do, and that we return to what we knew as a normal life before, sooner rather than later, and that this doesn't get worse. Although I'm anticipating at least a period of time of it getting worse before it gets better. So let's all hang in there together, to help each other out, be there to support each other. As I learn more, if I come up with more ideas that I think might be value added for you, I will share those in future videos. If you have comments or suggestions for me, please be sure and leave them in the comment section of this video below. But like always, if you like what you hear, if you're finding value in these videos, please be sure and click the subscribe button here. I've linked a couple of other related videos here that you might find interesting if you haven't looked into our history and watched some of these videos before. Be sure and check them out. In the meantime, hang in there through this coronavirus epidemic, and I'll be thinking about you, and I hope you'll be thinking about me as well.